New York City, this is how it is. Busy. So this is what we're doing. Yeah, it's a little bit of a zoo here. I'll be talking about stress later. How to find a way to be less stressed in a busy world. Here we are walking to our hotel. Always busy. Lots of noise. Sorry for the bumpiness. The pavement is not even here. One has to watch their step. They put this greenery around them, which is kind of nice. Nice little blessing. Wow, look at the furniture.
It's really unusual.
Should we go inside and relax? Okay, walk. There's a walk sign and the bus decided to go right through it. Okay, we can go. Wow, pizza.
Look at that.
That pizza looks good. My gosh. This is the Plaza Hotel. Looks like something's going on there. This is the checkout at Amazon Whole Foods.
Register 22.
So you have these lines, and then when your number's called, you run to that register. That was something. This is Eric with my wife, Nadine, being nice to a little dog that ran away. We're here in Central Park, New York, after checking on my wife's health, who is doing well by God's grace. So I'll admit I came really stressed. I had bad attitudes regarding coming here. I was judgmental, thinking negative thoughts about people, thinking negative thoughts about my back going out. So I was like in chronic tension walking through, in fear, just even from lifting a suitcase. Will this be when my back snaps, etc.? And by God's grace and providence, I brought a book. I actually didn't even think I would go back to the office to go get something, but I needed to get something, and so then I went and picked up this book. And I won't mention the book just yet, but it's a book I've had for a long time on relaxation, and the gist of it is to relax in such a way that doesn't try to make yourself relaxed. You don't try, it's effortless effort. You make an effort to not try to make the pain go away, to make the situation go the way you want it. Really, it's about accepting where you are, accepting the circumstances. You can do what you can do, which is let go of some relaxation. But you just then be with the pain or the discomfort. It really is about resisting the urge to constantly move away from pain and move towards pleasure. So as Christians, it's really kind of an interesting thought how this ties in, is that I'm not supposed to really be thinking negative, judgmental thoughts here. I'm not supposed to be worrying about the future or regretting the past. I should be in the moment, trying to connect with God, trying to decipher what His will is for me and the power to carry it out, to surrender, to not try in my own strength to do anything, but to try to surrender my life. In fact, this book mentions Edmund Jacobson, who is a doctor who started this journey to see it, the psychosomatic connection, looking at how our bodies and our minds work together, how our thoughts hold residual tension. Sorry about that. I'm not used to doing selfie mode here. So yeah, having this nice setting to have our breakfast here before we take off back for Seattle is kind of nice. And so I was thinking about Edmund Jacobson and how he said that people hold residual tension in their body based on stress. He was the first to discover that if people were thinking thoughts of verbalizing something, that their mouths, muscles moved, and if they thought something visually, that their eyes would move. So New York is an interesting place, very interesting. I was starting to think negative thoughts, starting to think what's wrong, and I won't mention what they are, but there was a lot to find wrong. And I was thinking 5 words that would describe things, and it was probably pretty humorous. I realized I'm not going to share that because it's just negative. And it wouldn't put anybody in any kind of good mood at all. And you could probably guess what those words are to describe New York, even if you've never been to New York. But here's the thing. There is so much more to life than just finding out what's wrong with it. In fact, there's always going to be something wrong. But if we look for what's good, our muscles, our bodies will follow the thoughts we have. There's many good books. One book is called Our Thoughts Determine Our Lives. Elder Thaddeus, who had 2 nervous breakdowns, is an expert in finding peace through God's grace. There is an elder, a man, a deeply Christian man, a saint, Saint Paisius, who I really appreciate. He said simple phrases. If there was a saint or an elder who is friendly to psychology and would help straighten out somehow secular psychology, would be him, as well as there's a few others. He said we should all be like bees. A bee looks throughout the world and looks for those flowers, looks for the nectar, looks for the beautiful things to land in and eventually make honey. Rather than a fly, where the fly lands on, his polite language, is lands on dirt. And it's true, a fly doesn't really look for what's good, it looks for what's not really good. And so there is this phrase, be the bee, meaning to look for what's good, look for the flowers. Reminds me of what Mr. Rogers, actually, who I've been thinking about as 2 movies I've been watching came out. He said in times of crisis, his mother said to him, look for the helpers. So here I am in New York. I'm starting to be stressed. I'll say the first 2 days I was stressed. Walking down the street was difficult. But as I was reading the book and progressing in relaxation and learning to accept the moment as it is, learning to find peace. In fact, I have this thought, finding peace in New York City. And then I thought, how ironic is this? If I can find the beginning of relaxation, the beginning of some kind of peace here, then I could probably do it anywhere. And that's no disrespect to New York. It's just that it is what it is. So trying to be the bee here is to look for what's good. So there have been many people who have helped us. Simple acts of kindness. I mean, yeah, anywhere we've gone, there's been someone to help us find our way, to go the extra mile, to try to find a way to solve a situation. There's been nice sunshine, and there's been nice rain. There's nice, beautiful things to look at. We've been able to look at art. We've been looking at the Museum of Natural History. And even in there, we looked at some things in the origins of mankind, which you would think would be really biased one direction. But no, there was even a Christian approach represented there, which was kind of nice. It wasn't strong, but it was there. And that's looking for the good there. I'm learning to try to take each moment as it is, not as I would have it. Trying to not try as much. Just be in my own surroundings here.
Same place. And for the north part,
this little sign says it's a thornless honey locust tree. So interesting to have in the midst of a city a park. I guess there's lots of parks in cities. So I will be studying more of Edmund Jacobson. I'm going to be reading some of his earlier works. Yeah, he was really onto something. The idea of residual tension, that we hold our bodies in certain ways. And I read a book talking about the prayer of Jesus Christ, which is, Lord Jesus Christ, Son of God, have mercy on me. And in this book, there's a phrase, and I'm trying to find it again, but it said that if we really trusted God, we would not have a tense muscle in our body. And it's very interesting to combine all this, to see that, and in this book by Edmund Jacobson and others related to it, the book that initially triggered my interest, it said that really, if we hold ourselves in a chronic state of tension, we're going to have our bodies respond. And if we're in a chronic state of sympathetic nervous system, it just can't be good for our digestion, for our sleep, for muscle tension, that we're guarding ourselves while holding ourselves in a holding pattern. And it's just what we're used to. Just like our personality has a certain way of being at rest, this is how some of us are at rest, including myself. So I'm going to be working on that to try to dissolve some of this tension by not trying, by letting whatever discomfort be, whatever that comes my way, not trying to force pleasure, which is just for me, just being able to sit still or to stand still for a while. Inner stillness comes to mind in all this, as the relaxation exercise talks about breathing exercises, which reminds me of early Christianity, where they use the word hesychasm. Hesychasm means, or the hesychist is one who's practicing connecting to God in such a way that their body and their mind and their soul is still. Think of the verse in the Bible, be still and know that I am God. Yeah, stop rushing, stop moving. And I'm just learning this as we speak, so I'm not any expert in any way, but trying to practice this over and over and over would be the key. We didn't get into this state of chronic tension and holding patterns overnight. We won't get out of this overnight either. It's something we practice, and I'm going to try to practice it. In fact, I may try to hold some classes for anybody who's interested, because I think this can't help but help overall. It's a great, what I mean to say is that it's an experience or a technique or a practice that would benefit all. That it's not something that just a few people would benefit from. I'm going to relax the tension in my neck. Yeah, think of Feldenkrais, where this actor had issues. He was so tired throughout all his performances, so he learned this principle of how much tension do we need to hold something, how much tension do we even need to hold our neck, our shoulders, etc. Wilhelm Reich, who studied the body and looked at that there were certain holding patterns or rings, I think the term is rings, and how it relates to certain emotions. Really interesting. I met the dairy, by the way, in Central Park. We came here about 6 months ago, and the dead of winter is pretty cold and rainy. My son and I stopped in, but this is my first time with my wife, who's in the little gift store here. So with that, I'm going to say goodbye. I'm going to try to practice these principles in the next 5 to 6 hours, as I'll be headed to a shuttle, to an airport, to a plane trip, to driving through Seattle to get home. Thanks. Have a great day.